This is my custom Jakks specific Whisper figure. I'm going to show you the process of 3D modeling, printing, painting, assembling, and my many stumbles in creating a cloth cape. And then doing it all again to make her Wisps. I mostly know of Whisper because she's one of my favorite characters in Sonic Force's Speed Battle, but she's most known for being from the IDW comics. And if you've got a 3D printer, you can make your own for free. Check out my Thingiverse page of Sonic, Skylanders, and more in the description. Let's get started. I mostly built this on stream, and it was great to be able to work while chatting with y'all. Let me know in the comments if I should do more 3D modeling live streams. I block out the basic shapes, and using lots of reference, build up more detail in the form over time. Then I pulled the model into ZBrush to sculpt her shirt. To me, it looks like a thick corset material, maybe leather, so I worked hard to sculpt in details of where the material might be bending based on her pose, specifically in the back where her back is kind of bending up like this, and in the front as well. And here I'm blocking out the boot methodically, building up detail just like the other pieces. The tail is a simple cylinder with some smooth cones attached. I built the wispon as part of the hand because I intended to have her always holding it. I printed one separately for Pink GameCube, who is making a Whisper of her own soon, and both versions are available to download on Thingiverse. If you know my channel, you know this process very well. I sliced it into a program called Cheetahbox, and then I printed it on my Elegoo Saturn. Always give them a thorough bath in isopropyl alcohol, and then brush them with a toothbrush to remove any excess resin. You don't want any leftover dried in the crevices. To be extra thorough, I often blow away any remaining IPA with this handheld air tool. Link in the description. And then I cure them in my UV curing machine. I used this awesome art book as reference for her color scheme. I used my rotary tool to clean up the prints before painting. I started with a black primer, which is not smart because she's a lighter colored character. I'm not sure what I was thinking here. Some of the details on the wispon were really tough. I had to go back and forth between the silver and the white to get the lines just to be that much clean. And it still didn't turn out that clean in the end. One tough thing about painting white is that it takes many layers and it clumps up, so I lightly sand it between coats. Just like with Trip, I dyed the legs of the figure so that the joints would look a little bit better than paint that can rub off. It doesn't always work so well. Then I seal up all the parts with an acrylic sealer. Next, it's time to put it all together. Just like my other figures, I leave a ball joint shape in the hands and feet. The body parts capture the Sonic arms and legs as well as Whisper's head, and then it all gets super glued together. I also super glued the ponytail onto the head. I only separated these just to make it easier to paint and to print. Now she has these knee pads, as you can see in the concept, and originally I tried to use this electronics heat shrink for the little pattern of the part that connects, and it just limited movement too much, so I ditched that idea. I ended up just gluing the 3D printed knee pads onto the figure itself. We gotta go to the fabric store to get the cape for Whisper. Check it out. I'm using this to kind of get an idea of how the fabric will wrap around a figure. So we made a quick trip to Joann Fabric. One option could be draping it around kind of like that, but I think when it's actually cut apart, it might be too stiff. I think we'll want something more actual fabric. Pretty quickly found what we wanted. A fabric remnant of some kind of satin-like material. We tried leather as well, but we think that'll be too thick. So yeah, 50% off too. I didn't really like this fabric after all. It was too thin and it showed light through, and it frayed all over the place when cut. Instead, I sacrificed one of my sculpting gloves. I use these when I'm painting or using ZBrush on my Cintiq to avoid leaving fingerprints on the monitor. I tried out this fabric adhesive to try to hem the edges. You place it in the fold on the edge of the fabric and you iron it. It worked well at first, but it fell apart over time, so I ended up hand sewing a lot of it. Next, I drilled holes into her canisters so I could thread through them to attach them to the fabric. To actually attach the cape to Whisper, I found the smallest clasps I could find and sewed them onto the cape as well. I'm quite pleased with how it turned out. You can't have Whisper without her wisps though. I modeled this in a combination of Maya and ZBrush. And as usual, I slice and print, then give them a thorough cleaning. Then more cleanup with the rotary tool, and it was time to paint. Tried out this expensive glow-in-the-dark paint, and it barely worked at all. For the floating wisps, I drilled a hole to attach them to some cheap but effective figure stands I bought. I've been using a new paint called Pro Acryl, and I mostly like it, though some colors require a lot of layers. And then some gloss sealant, and they're ready to photograph. When it comes to Sonic photography, I like to have one really good shot of each figure and have them as a collection. This is a bit different from my Pokemon or Halo photos, where I'm a little more haphazard with releasing less than perfect shots. So I was inspired by Sonic colors and wanted to make a really cool graphic shot. I photographed each character as a separate element with multiple lighting passes, and then put them all together in Photoshop. There's a lot of different layers, and how I did it could be a video in itself, so let me know if you're interested in that kind of tutorial thing. This is one of my favorite Sonic shots that I've done yet. Then I also took just a simpler white backdrop shot. This one was actually really tough to get all their poses just the way I wanted them. I want to showcase the work of someone from our community. This is ProTyler. He makes awesome customs, including Whisper using the files from this very project. He's also made figures from my Trip and Fang models. He uses a two-part epoxy for his figures to both smooth out prints and create entirely unique parts. He once mentioned that he repaints them every couple of months. I assume the paint is rubbing off because he handles them a lot instead of just sitting on a shelf forever. I think that shows a ton of passion for the craft. He really loves these figures. Though I do suggest some spray sealer would be invaluable. If you make customs or just enjoy seeing them, check out our Discord. Lastly, I want to give shoutouts to everyone who watched me 3D model Whisper on stream. It's great having company while I work, and I definitely plan to do it more often. So thank you for that support. And thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your day.